Hey guys, I'm going to talk to you guys about emissions and some of the things that are changing and my opinion on what we should do about it. So this is not necessarily a bad thing. To some people, it is definitely creates a huge inconvenience to get your vehicle compliant. The main areas where it's very hard to do this, to make your vehicle emissions legal, is California and now Colorado. So those two states, depending on the year of your vehicle, is near impossible to do without a CARB certification, which means that you need to buy basically your complete drivetrain directly from GM or someone that sells a CARB certification package. And it's a very difficult thing to try to do yourself to get something CARB certified. So the easiest way to do this is you have basically two main areas you're looking at. You have to add catalytic converters excuse me, to your vehicle. And again, each state's a little different. Some states don't need this yet, but I have kind of a new opinion on this. So I now believe I've been converted that we should run cats on our conversions. And people might ask, well, why? I'm going to lose power. You know, what is a bad thing? What's really a bad thing is we'll just do this. If you have a cammed vehicle, even a moderate size cam in your vehicle, you start up in your garage, see how long you can stand in that garage with your vehicle. Don't actually do that. I don't want you to die. But what I'm getting at is the amount of emissions that's now being put out is crazy. And people think this is actually, oh, my vehicle's just running rich. No. You can look at your tune. Your O2 sensors are set for stoic. So it's going to trim itself out to run at the appropriate air-fuel ratio. So that's what confused me, is like, I'm running at the correct air-fuel ratio, there's nothing I can do. And it smells terrible in here. It smells like poison gas invading your garage. So I talked to Bob Morrell from the tuning school about this, and I was asking him, can I use catalytic converters in a cam swap vehicle? And he said, definitely, you sure can. So by doing this, it's going to superheat your gases, does all the things that a catalytic converter does. It's going to convert all the hydrocarbons and other things. Again, I'm not an expert on all the terminology in this stuff, but really what we need to know is it's a game changer in that it's going to make the air so much better. So you're not going to be polluting so bad, because what's the point? Honestly, I was just at LS Fest, and I'm watching this kind of in horror. I'm like, this is going to get banned very quickly. We're racing. There is so much smoke and fumes in the air, and there's kids running around. Like, times are changing, and if we don't try to do something about this, you know, these car shows and car events are going to get banned by the EPA. And it's because we're going above and beyond on how bad we're polluting things. Like, it was terrible, the amount of, you know, emissions and things like that in the air. And I don't know, I'm from the country, I'm not like a stickler on this, but now, you know, for $100 you can add some catalytic converters to your vehicle, and you know, set it up to where you're not doing such a horrible job with creating all these emissions. And it's not hard, it really isn't. So meaning, all you really need to do to really cut down on emissions is just put cats on your vehicle. You don't even have to wire them up. So what I mean by that is the catalytic converters will each have their own O2 sensor. That's not to control your engine with a cat. It's mostly so the engine knows exactly what your catalytic converter is doing, so it can report back if you have an issue. So just by putting catalytic converters on your vehicle on states that don't really have emissions, like here in Missouri and a lot of other states on classic cars, we're cutting down emissions big time on this stuff. and MagnaFlow makes them. I mean, there's a ton of different companies to use. I'm not going to get into legalities. I'm saying we should at least start to try to put some basic emission equipment on this. And really, I'm excited to do it on my C10. It just has a stage 2 cam, but it's so freaking loud at idle. It's insane. I hate it, honestly. So by putting in a couple, I'm calling them standard replacement catalytic converters, they're not high flows. I'm actually putting some bigger ones on there to quiet it down, or else I was going to have to add another set of mufflers. So just put some cats on them. They're not expensive. It's going to cut down emissions greatly. And then we have the other side of the evap system, which is basically to keep the fuel vapors from getting, you know, into the atmosphere or into the air. So that's a bit more tricky to do. So that'd be for another video. But for now, like, I think it's a good idea to maybe start with something that's pretty easy and just put cats on your vehicles. Because things are changing quickly. And I was just thinking, man, if the EPA was at one of these, like I said, LS Fest, like, how could you not say something and create all these rules? Because it was bad. It was an awesome event, don't get me wrong. There's at least 5,000 swapped vehicles there. And guess how many of those had catalytic converters? I don't know, 1%? Like, hardly anything would have that. So it was just bad. I mean, I was just watching the drag racing and my eyes were watering. It's like, things maybe should change a little bit. So we should at least put catalytic converters. You'll get rid of that awful smell you have with cam swaps. I use them on my Tahoe with a completely stock Gen 5 drivetrain. And I did this since day one. We take this vehicle camping and we'll have that Tahoe 10 feet from our tent, and I'll have it running to charge batteries or something like that. I'm gonna have it running all night. But the thing is, you can't smell anything at all. Your eyes will never water. It doesn't bother anyone. By putting a couple catalytic converters on that is a game changer. So definitely do that, you know, to get ahead of the game a little bit, because I see things changing. Just like right now, I'm in HP Tuners and I have to take this quick training course on the EPA compliance, or else I can't use their software the same way I could before. They actually are taking functionality away. So I'm looking through this and it's great, you know, it's actually telling you the basics of your emissions equipment, the legalities of this being deleted and things like that, because you can get fined a lot of money from the EPA, and because this is a federal standard, so technically it doesn't matter what state you live in, the federal government, our wonderful federal government, can come down on us at any time because they have their rules. The state does not override these emissions rules. It's just something that's getting cracked down on. It's what California and Colorado did. They're using what the federal government says to do, basically with their mandates. They're enforcing it. They're fully enforcing it. So it doesn't matter what state you're in, we're technically not doing things correctly. But it's to the point where